everyone, Karen here. Today we are going to end up with a card, but it's going to be more about the technique. Today we're going to be playing with Simon Hurley's foam. If you haven't tried this before, it's not expensive. I think they run from like $6 to $8 depending on which package you get. And it's foam that when you heat it up, you can press it against things and shape it to anything you want and basically make your own stamps. So you can do things like this, where I pressed it up against an embossing folder that was wood grained. You can have it like this, where that's really just the score lines of my embossing, my scoreboard. So you can do all kinds of things with it, and it will stay until you reheat it, and then you can reuse it and press it against all kinds of things. You can even do things like press it against your wall, which is what I did here. That's the texture on my wall. So let me get this camera turned around and we'll take a play with this. Before we get started, I want to show you some of the things that I have played with. So here's the paper I was using. So this wood one here came from this. And this was a wood embossing folder I had. I impressed on it. And then when I made it a stamp, that's what it came out to. This is the one that was my wall. And then when I stamped it, this is what I ended up with. This is the sunflower one that I'm going to be using today. So I already removed it from the circle and we'll redo that. But then these here, these lines here were from this. And these are the marks on my scoreboard. These are the scoreboard going in the other direction. And you end up with something like this. This here, this is the grid pattern on a guillotine. And that makes a nice pattern too. And you can see that it stays until you heat it up. So now let me show you how I did it. So we're going to start with this Simon Says Stamp embossing folder called Sunflower Field. And this is one of the ones that has a piece. It has a die. And when you cut the die out, you can emboss it back into the embossing folder and you end up with something like this, which is really kind of nice. And I will show you how I did that too. So let's take the embossing folder out. And we're going to open it up. Now I want the stamp to look like this. So I want this to be the part that's sticking out. So I need to take the side of the stamp that is recessed into the embossing folder, because that will end up being the piece that sticks out. So I'm going to take my circle. I'm going to take my heat tool. And I'm going to heat this up. And then quickly press it onto here. You want to have whatever you want to press into really close by because this cools kind of quickly. So I'm going to cut the sound while this is on because nobody wants to listen to that. And I'll show you how to do this. All right, now it's hot. I'm going to move the recessed side in here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to firmly press down. And I pick it up. And look, now it is on here ready to stamp. And it is that simple. And that will stay until you heat it up and put something else on there. So let me grab some paper. All right, now I have pre-cut what I want to do today. So I'm going to have a 5x7 card base. I have a piece of brown, which is 6.5 by 4.5. I have this peachy color, which is 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. And then I have this, which is 4 by 6. This is what I'm going to stamp on. And see, once you have this stamped, you can let this sit forever, and it's perfectly fine. So I am going to stamp with Gina K Sweet Corn. And that's what this color is here. So you want to make sure you get a lot of good coverage on here. So we're going to cover this really good. Now you can add water to this before you stamp. And if you do, you're going to end up with something like this, which will be a little bit more washed out, you know, looks a little bit more watercolored maybe. but it's not as defined as this. This was with the same stamp. This added water, this had no water. So it's a big difference in what it looks like. So we want lots of ink because you can't put this in a repositioner or anything. This is a one-time shot. So we have lots of ink. And I think I want to put this toward the middle. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to put this toward the middle, place it down, and I'm going to press. Now some people like to take a large acrylic block and put it over the top of it so they can get a firm pressing. But with this circle, my hand is big enough to do it. So we've given the ink time to transfer, and there we go. Look how nice. Crisp and clear. And it's that simple. And you will find yourself roaming all over your house once you get one. And like I said in the intro, they run between $6 and $8 depending on which pack you get. Because some of them come like this. I guess I should have showed you this first. They come like this with the circle and the square on the outside. There's also a heart one. And then there are some that are just solid. Like this. And they're all A2 size. So they're solid, circles, or hearts. So now that we have this, I am going to, let's see, I'm going to take some brown ink. And I'm going to go around the edge here a little bit. Very lightly. Just so it's not so white. I really want to get an edge here around the edge of the paper. So we'll just do this real quick. All right. That is plenty. So let me close up the ink, put that to the side. So now let me move this white mat, now that it has ink on it. And let's talk about the piece that you can cut out of the embossing folder. And I have used this before to get this. So what you're going to do is you're just going to cut this out like you normally would a die. And then the piece that you have here, you want to line it up. Now I'm going to line it up with the part that sticks out. I just find it a little easier. And if you look here on the stamp, that is a die cut. You see these two that are bigger and right next to each other? That will line up with these two petals here. So this will line up like this. Okay, then you're going to close this carefully. Make sure it doesn't move. And you can look from this side and see that it's still good. And then run this through your machine. All right, now this is a 3D folder, so all I needed for my Gemini was my big plate, my clear plate, and then I just used my metal shim. So let me get an eraser to get rid of these pencil marks. Now I'm going to color it in. Now to color in the petals, I am going to use Y38 and R05. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm going to color a couple petals to get a base coat of color on there. And you don't want to go around the whole circle when you do this, because you want to do the second color when this is still wet. So I wouldn't do any more than this. Even I'll go back over that a little bit. So now I'm going to take the R05 and I'm just going to flick a little color in here. So now when I come back over it with the Y38, it will blend, and this works as long as the ink is wet. If you let it dry, it's not going to. Now for some techniques, you want to let the ink dry and then go back over it again, but not for this. And then it blends it. Like that. And then we'll go to the next section. And we're probably going to do this in maybe fourths or fifths maybe. So put a base coat down. We'll take the orange, flick, come back with the yellow, and blend. And this is where you can clean it up, any little spots you missed, because it really is quite detailed. So let's come over here. Next section. All right, now we take the orange, flick the orange, come back with the yellow. And you're just following up the petals. Just going to follow up the petals just to drag that color. Then we'll put the yellow down one more time. Go across the bottom here. Bring in the orange. Flick. And you don't have to do every petal. This also works really well if you're doing candles. The flames look really nice when you do them this way. All right, so the petals are all done. You do that one a little bit more. All right, so now for the inside, I have E71 and E59. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brush side of this one and just tap it, circles around. And just keep going till you have all the circles you want. That's probably good. Now I'm going to take the E71 and I'm going to color. And this will blend these out. And this works as long as it's still wet. If it dries completely, it's going to be a little harder to blend. But the more you go over it, the more it blends in. You can see it becomes like that. So that's it. This is the first one I did beforehand, and this is this one. I'm not sure how many we're going to use on the card. I think we're only going to use one. All right, so we have this. And let me bring in my other pieces. Put these all to the side. All right, so here's our base. We'll put that up here for now. So now this is going to get put on this peachy color. And like I said, this is 4 by 6, so this peach is 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. It's just a little bit bigger. And I just wanted to have a little bit of an edge to it. So I am going to glue this down. Our other choice, let's see. Nope, I think I'll leave it this way. I will leave it this way. Put some glue on here. This has a teeny tiny little border. Just kind of nudge that up there. Teeny tiny. And a lot of times if you vary the difference in your matte layers, you know, it does give your card a nice effect. Yeah, you don't have to have them all the same. And this will go on here. And this one is a 1/4 inch difference. So that will go in the middle, give a bigger border. Because there's a 1/4, this one is 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. So it's a 1/2 inch difference between the white panel and the brown panel. This is a 1/2 inch difference, with this one being a 1/8 of an inch bigger. And it does give you a nice effect. It gives you a nice layer. All right, so now what I was thinking is this is going to be a birthday card. So this is going to be here in the center. And I'm thinking I was going to put these on here. So let's see, this is the one that's dry. So I was thinking it would be like this. I think in the middle. And what I want to do is I'm going to put this on the base first because I want this to hang off a little bit. So I'm going to put this on first. And this is our 5x7 card base. And this way I'll be able to judge how far over I'll be able to let it hang. And I'm using a kind of a yellowish creamy color card base on this one. And it was kind of close to the cream corn. So I thought that would be nice. So we'll center that. Let me get the glue off my hands. All right, so now we know how much real estate we have to work with here. So if we put this here, and then this here, because this is not a circle, this is an oval. It doesn't look much like an oval until you cut it out, and then and you go to use it, and it really is not a circle. But this is not a circle either. This is slightly oval, because when I cut it to 4.5 by 4.5, you can see it's not a circle, it's an oval, because it's made to go on A2 cards. So yeah, so it's not a circle. So this will go in here, and this is going to go up on foam. And I'm thinking this looks a little plain. Let's see, so if that's hanging off there, and this card's going to need some gems, I think. Let's see, do we need both flowers maybe? No, I think just the one flower. And it needs to be on foam. And I think I'm going to edge this in brown. Let's move that out of the way, because this looks too plain. So I'm just going to take it and rub it across the brown. And this is charcoal brown. So I'm just going to take it and rub it across. Let's see. That adds enough to it. Oh yeah, that definitely makes a difference. And that will be up on foam. So I'm going to have it hang over here, not quite go to the yellow part, but hang over to the brown. And then this will hang over on this side, like that. I think that's what I'll do. And then it's going to need some gems or something, because that's still kind of plain. So let me get my foam. But yeah, so this Simon Hurley foam is really a lot of fun. You can press it in anything. I've seen people do it on cooling racks, cookie cooling racks. People have taken it to their grills. People have taken it to any kind of rocks or mulch that they have in the front yard in their flower beds. I've seen people take it to screens. Let's see, what else? Piles of rocks will give you an interesting effect. Anything hard that you're going to be able to press up against, you'll be able to do it. But it's really kind of fun. But my walls, I was really surprised how nice my walls came out. Let's see, this will sit on here. This will need foam on, let's see, this will be like here. That side needs foam. This side will need glue. right, just like that. So all we really have here is an embossing folder and then the foam. All right, now for the inside, I have wishing you a day wrapped in happiness. So this is 3 3/4 by 3. So then I went up a quarter inch to 4 3 1/4. And I'm going to glue this together like this. This will go on the inside of the card. There that is. On your birthday. Wishing you a day wrapped in happiness. And that just looks like you used to stamp it. It's really your embossing folder. All right, so let me grab one other embossing folder because I want to show you something else you can do with this. All right, so I want to show you something. So I have this embossing folder and I ran the paper through like you normally would, and this is what you end up. So now let's open this up. And I'm going to pick this side. You bring in my foam and heat up the foam. All right, now I'm going to press this on here, and I'm going to take the top of my stamping platform and press down so I get a nice even push. All right, let's see what we got. There we go. That's a pretty nice impression. All right, so I have a piece of paper. I have my stamp. I have honey mustard, and I'm going to stamp all over this. I want it good and heavy. That's good. I'm going to take this and stamp it on here. This part will be fine. I'm going to take my stamping platform again, since this is a big area. I'm going to give it a good push. So now we have this. So I'm going to trim this here, because if it's going to go on a 5 by 7, I need to have a 2-inch difference between the two. So I'm going to go 5.5 by 3.5. So now we can have something like this, where I would maybe take, you know what, I'm actually going to take a sander to this, because this is white core paper. So I am going to lighten this up by sanding. So I think this will be a landscape card. So this needs some trim, so let me go pick out a paper. All right, I found this light brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it as a tiny border. So if this is 5.5, I will go 5 5/8. This is 3.5. This was 5. So I will go 3 5/8. Now this will be on here. So this is the part we ran through the embossing folder like we normally would. And then went over with the sandpaper. And this will be on here. And I think I want to soften this white. So let me grab my brown brush. Let me see what's left on here. All right, there's some left on here. So let me grab my mat. And I just want to soften the white. That's enough. All right, so this is going to get glued on here. And this is a totally on the fly card, so let's figure out a sentiment for this. To me, this is looking like a man's card. So let's go with something manly. So this will be on here. And then I will just need my sentiment on the front. So let me go find something. Close my glue first. I mean, the sunflower would be cute, but I would like to make a man's card here. All right, so I scrounged around my box of leftovers, and I have these, which I can't remember what they were left from. But there's a beer mug, there's a couple of beer glasses, there's a couple beer bottles, and a couple of party hats. I have these two happy birthdays, and these are all happy birthday. What? I think I like this better. Put the party hat in the middle and put this up here. Yep, we'll do it that way. Okay, let me glue this down. This will be on foam. That will be here. That is too much glue. Oh, there was another party hat. Oh, that's not the right color. We will not use that. They were stuck together. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in that box. All right, party mug. Maybe the mug should be up there, because the mug is shorter. That will go here. Party hat will go over here. I think I want to glue this up here on the happy birthday. All right. Oh, there was two of them on there. You know what? I probably should have checked this a little bit more. Like I said, I pulled them out of the box. Oh, so there is another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, let's leave it at 7. That can be for another card. All right, so let me go grab a base to put this on. Let's see, I have a white base, which would be like this. Not bad. But I have a red one. Let's see. You know, I think I like the red one. I wasn't sure because there was no red in here. But I think I like the red one better. All right, glue this down. Now, since we have a lot of bumps and stuff here, I want to make sure we have enough glue on the back here. Make sure we're not putting it on upside down. You will put this in the middle. There we go. There's a card using the embossing folder and then the Simon Hurley foam to make a stamp out of it. And that looks kind of fun. So that can turn any embossing folder into a stamp for you. So let's go back to this because I promised some gems because I think that is a little plain. So let's grab some gems. Let's see, I have these orange ones. Let's see what these look like. Put that over here, cap this, close that. This card was this one was totally impromptu. I was only going to make one card for this video, but then I thought of that while we were halfway through. So let's see. Yep, I think these will be just fine. So let me grab my glue. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, this gives me 9. All right. All right, now walk away from the gems. Yeah, that finishes that off nicely. This one I don't think needs anything. It's a more of a masculine card, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. So let me clear out this mess and get the camera turned around, and let's talk about what we did today. All right, so I have found my craft room. I probably should have let y'all see the pile that was over here, but it's all cleaned up. So let's talk about what we did. We ended up with 2 cards, not 1. The original plan was to have 1 card. So we have our man's card, which says happy birthday with the beer. And this was what we used the embossing folder and then turned the embossing folder into a stamp using the foam, which is this one right here. And that will stay like that. Oh, to wash it off. That's what I didn't show you. To wash it off, simply take water, spray, and wipe. And even when you do that, the impression stays. It might have been helpful if I showed you how to do that. All right, so the other card, which was the plan card, was the one with the sunflower, where we just turned it into a stamp and used it that way. So I hope you like this, and hope you give Simon Hurley's foam a chance, because it's not very expensive, but it is something that is very versatile, and you can use it for a lot of things. And, you know, we didn't even touch the surface with, you know, using the edge here, where, you know, this was the edges from the scoreboard, and you can make lines. So it really is, you can press it into anything. So if you like this video, give me a like, and if you want to see the other videos, subscribe, and until next time, stay crafty.